right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Caught on camera, an airborne car crashes into a home.
And they said we may not be able to enter a home at all. It may be a total loss.
What the homeowners were doing moments before the freak accident. Vandals target a family's pool, causing thousands of dollars of damage. Now the family is asking neighbors for help.
A weather first storm alert continues overnight as torrential rains expected to cause flooding across parts of our area. How much rain could fall, who's at risk, and when it moves out.
You are looking live at downtown St. Louis. Right now, fairly quiet, but thunderstorms are expected to develop in the next hour or so. So we begin tonight in storm alert. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. Ann Allred has the night off. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with the weather first forecast and what we can expect. Scott.
Well, Mike, a lot of us won't see a whole lot of action, and that includes in the city of St. Louis and to the north. But just to our south and southwest, that's where we anticipate seeing a band of thunderstorms developing here, especially right after midnight and towards 1 o'clock. It'll pick up pretty quickly, and we'll likely see some hail out of those storms and then torrential rainfall as they keep developing and move over the same areas. Radar is pretty uneventful now. Your ground clutter around the center of it, but your weather first Doppler is showing some scattered showers down towards Rolla and down towards Salem. That's kind of where the boundary is, if you will, and that boundary separates much warmer, much more humid air from what we're dealing with in St. Louis. And you know, it's still fairly muggy in the metro area. Dew points, though, you cross the Missouri into Arkansas border, and bam, you're back to around 80 on those dew point temperatures. That's a huge amount of moisture. We're lifting it over that boundary. Your flood watch is down to the south and southwest of St. Louis as we head through the overnight hours into early tomorrow. So the storms will be forming right after midnight. The narrow band of heavy rain will exist. It'll move from northwest to southeast, and that increases the overnight flash flooding threat. We're back in just a few minutes, and we'll time it out for you, Mike.
And you can get the weather first forecast sent to your phone anytime. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link. Turning now to South St. Louis County. Take a look at this wild video. This was a speeding driver crashing into a home earlier this afternoon. Police are now trying to figure out how it happened. Brent Solomon was on scene moments after the crash, and he's live now with the latest information. Brent.
Mike, we're on Telegraph and Kingston Roads. I want to waste no time and get out of the picture, give you a live look at what this family is now dealing with after that car slammed right into their home this afternoon. A neighbor's camera capturing the chaos. It happened in the blink of an eye.
This only happens in the movies.
It was just before 2:30 Tuesday afternoon. Watch again as this burgundy car comes crashing right into Derek Wenzel's home. You don't have a home right now?
Negative, we do not.
He rushed home from work after getting the call. Turns out his girlfriend and a few of their friends were inside at the time, talking and watching TV. I'm told when that car crashed into the bedroom here, there was a 2 to 3-year-old sitting on the bed. The impact pushed the bed into the wall, so that child wasn't hit.
Could have totally hit him, yes. Just missed him by inches.
First responders quickly arriving to the scene. They tell us the woman behind the wheel immediately died.
I just hope she didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah.
As it happened.
Diane Wenzel came to see about her son, not knowing what her eyes were in for.
I really wasn't sure how bad it was, and when I got here and saw how bad it was, I was like, yeah, I guess they'll be staying with us tonight.
And they said we may not be able to enter a home at all. It may be a total loss.
Now they're just hoping to salvage what they can and try to return to some sense of normal.
I'll see you in a little while, baby.
All right, honey.
Call me if you need anything.
Love you, Mom. Bye.
I can tell you that a nearby home was also damaged. There were people inside of this house and in that nearby home at the time. None of them were hurt. Tonight we're live in South St. Louis County. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
And tonight, police are searching for the man they say escaped police custody before shooting and killing a gas station employee. It happened early this morning at the BP gas station on Hampton near Forest Park. Police say 22-year-old Ayaz Ahmed was shot in the head. Police think Ahmed may have tried to stop someone from trying to break into a car in the parking lot. His family says he moved to the United States from Bangladesh to study.
He was so beautiful and so helpful, so good heart people. So hard for me.
Police are calling 19-year-old Jatavian Scott a person of interest. They're asking anyone with information to contact them immediately. You can remain anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. The St. Louis Board of Aldermen appears united behind a new law aimed at stopping people from openly carrying weapons on city streets. We wanted to know if that law exists anywhere else in the state and if it's working. Tonight, our Christine Byers talks to the Kansas City Police Union president about how the law there helps officers manage the issue.
When the Missouri State Legislature decided to make gun laws some of the most lax in the country, leaders in Kansas City saw the writing on the wall. They sprung into action in 2016, passing an ordinance banning people from openly carrying guns.
I think it was to give law enforcement officers and city officials an opportunity to, at least try to maintain that if you are going to have at least weapons that we can see, that we get an opportunity to check whether or not you have the capability or the legal ability to carry them.
And Brad Lemon, president of the Fraternal Order of Police in Kansas City, is glad they did.
We just don't have an issue with a lot of people walking around, obviously carrying weapons that aren't concealed. I don't think it's the only tool. I think it's a tool.
St. Louis officers don't have that tool, so they're virtually powerless when scenes like this repeatedly play out, as they have for the past few months, especially in downtown. Now the Board of Aldermen is scrambling to pass an ordinance like Kansas City's.
In my ward last fall, a teenager walked to a school with a automatic weapon and 600 rounds of ammunition down the street, and he was completely legal until he actually fired the gun.
Alderwoman Kara Spencer is the sponsor.
And this is a path that our state law allows us to take, and I think, this is a good opportunity for us to at least address the open carrying of firearms.
In my opinion, is a bill to stop children from carrying guns in our city. If you're openly carrying a gun in the city of St. Louis, be prepared to show your concealed carry weapons permit.
Lemon says Kansas City only has enforced its ordinance a handful of times and seldom seizes guns, but officers can if needed.
What we try to do is give people an opportunity to correct their behavior before we, start, making, arrests and putting people in jail.
When you have heard about the issues going on here in St. Louis and you've seen the images of the types of weapons being openly carried in downtown St. Louis, are you surprised to learn that we don't have an ordinance like this in place?
Yeah, I think this is one of those times where a law gets passed, we have nothing on our municipal books, and then you have to start going backwards, right, and trying to figure out how to fix what issues might pop out.
Do you think that this could help in St. Louis City?
Yeah, I think it gives them an opportunity to at least address it.
The Board of Aldermen will vote one more time on the bill Thursday before it heads to the mayor's desk. In a brief statement, Mayor Tashara Jones did not say whether or not she supports the legislation. A letter recently made public is bringing new concerns over a nuclear dump site in St. Charles County. Missouri officials warned the federal government years ago that radioactive contamination of groundwater in Weldon Spring is not decreasing. The Weldon Springs site was contaminated by uranium and thorium while explosives were manufactured during the Cold War. The plant was destroyed and much of the debris is now in a contained cell covered with rock. The contaminated water is overseen by government officials. The report says the uranium may not be sufficiently defined. We're told right now the groundwater is still considered safe. The Circuit Attorney's Office is adding 5 new assistant circuit attorneys. That is 14 new hires since Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore assumed office back in May. A special assistant circuit attorney was also sworn in. Gore was appointed to replace Kim Gardner, who resigned amid mounting case backlogs and a mass exodus of key prosecutors. New tonight at 10, police in O'Fallon, Illinois are looking for suspects who vandalized a home near O'Fallon High School's Milburn campus. Police say the vandals threw bricks through windows and poured motor oil into the pool. And 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski joined us now. Laura reports this is tens of thousands of dollars in damage.
It is, Mike. And not only is there monetary damage, the family says these vandals also robbed them of their sense of safety and even their vacation.
Just 2 hours before the Gibson family was supposed to leave for vacation, they got a terrifying 4:30 a.m. wake-up call.
My husband and I were woken by the sound of bricks crashing through our front windows. Pretty traumatizing. We right away either thought someone was in the house or, threw something through the window. So he kind of dashed out of the room to go make sure the children were okay.
Suzanne Gibson says the living nightmare didn't stop there.
He came outside actually and thought he saw blood on the concrete. It wasn't lit up. So when he turned on the lights, that's when he saw that there was used motor oil all over the pool deck, in the pool. Everything was completely black out here.
Tens of thousands of dollars in damage in a matter of minutes by what appears to be a couple of teens on a scooter.
It's hit every single piece of concrete that surrounds the pool.
The family and O'Fallon police are still trying to answer the biggest questions.
We can't figure out what the connection between these folks are here in O'Fallon and the suspects.
In the meantime, the cleanup hasn't been easy.
We had a hazmat team come in and remove that used motor oil from the pool. And now there's like an external EPA pump that's removing the remaining oil from the pool.
But these are all just material things.
The bricks through the windows in the middle of the night when your children are sleeping into the bedrooms where they're sleeping, that's what steals your peace. Now the kids are in tears when it's time to go to bed. They're completely traumatized as well.
Everyone in the family is hurting after this wake-up call they wish they could forget.
Are you traumatized too?
The family only has one message for the people who did this.
Come forward and try to help us get some closure on this.
O'Fallon police are asking anyone who has surveillance video from Sunday morning between 4:40 and 5 a.m. in that area to look it over. They believe the suspects could have gone through these neighborhoods: Augusta Greens, Far Oaks, Savannah Hills, or the Fountains. Mike.
Lost at sea for months. How this sailor and his dog were able to survive so long in the middle of the ocean. When buying a car, dealers try to tack on extra fees. But not everything is necessary.
You're never going to get that money back when you go to trade the car in or sell it.
Consumer Reports shows us which costs can be negotiated and which can be avoided altogether.
The heaviest rain and even some hail likely to fall while most of us sleep. A weather first storm alert continues as we track the developing rain.
A deadly night in Philadelphia. At least 5 people have been shot in the Feltonville neighborhood. It happened while a group was attending a vigil for another shooting victim. Police say a white Cherokee drove by and started shooting into the crowd. The car was later found and multiple weapons were found inside. The Illinois legal system will soon undergo a major transformation after the state Supreme Court voted 5-2 along party lines to eliminate cash bail. So-called Safety Act was passed in 2021 as part of an overhaul to the state's legal system and was set to take effect January 1st of this year, but was blocked by a Kankakee County judge. Supporters of the Safety Act describe cash bail as a penalty on poverty that caused further hardships on those unable to bond out of jail, often losing their jobs, falling behind on bills, and struggling to get access to health care and medications. However, Illinois Republicans believe it will allow lawlessness to rule the land.
We will no longer have to tell survivors and victims of crime that we don't know whether somebody will be able to be released the next night. This reform allows judges to make safety-based decisions that is individualized to a survivor of crime.
These people in jail are not choir boys. They're not Boy Scouts. They're there because judges have already given them second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. And now the default rule is going to be to let them out.
The state of Illinois now has 60 days before the Safety Act takes effect on September 18th. A man and his dog survived 3 months at sea by eating raw fish and rainwater. Timothy Lindsay Shattuck and his dog Bella were set adrift when a storm damaged his catamaran and knocked out his electronics. They were found about 1,200 miles from land when they were spotted by a tuna boat crew. That crew says Shattuck and his dog were in bad shape when they were found. Well, buying a car is often stressful and these days very expensive, so it can be especially frustrating when a dealer tries to tack on extra fees. But here's some good news. Consumer Reports explains which fees you may be able to negotiate or even avoid altogether at the car lot.
Harvey Kent is a seasoned car buyer, but one thing he says he'll never get used to,
the frustration of dealing with dealership fees.
You go through a lot of work to find the car you want, and you get down this road where you end up with no choices other than to walk away from that car and starting over.
But did you know some dealers charge more in fees than others? It can happen with the document fee that's often charged to process the title and registration in your name.
So one dealer can charge you $399. Another dealer with the same vehicle can charge you $699. You could always negotiate and say, another dealer is charging me less.
Then there's the destination fee, the cost to deliver your car to the dealership and get it ready for you to drive home, which should include a tank of gas or full electric charge. But Consumer Reports says watch out, some dealers try to charge you twice for it.
You may see something called vehicle prep or delivery prep tacked on to your car charge. Never pay that. The dealer here is just trying to double charge you, get extra money, do the exact work that they're supposed to do in the destination charge.
These days, don't be surprised to see a new fee called a market adjustment. The reason? The dealer is taking advantage of low inventory or the popularity of a specific model. CR says you can ask the dealer to remove it, but many won't because of the law of supply and demand. So think long and hard before paying it.
You're never going to get that money back when you go to trade the car in or sell it.
And when it comes to VIN etching, you don't need it because the number is already in several places on newer cars. And what about extended warranties? Most new cars already come with decent factory back protection, so you probably don't need it. Just be sure to read the terms and conditions. Other add-ons Consumer Reports says are unnecessary: nitrogen-filled tires, rust-proofing, paint sealing, and fabric protection. Well, we are still in storm alert, so let's get back to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with our weather first forecast. It could be a bumpy night for some, Scott.
Yeah, and you know, it is not going to happen in the next probably half hour, 45 minutes, hour, but after midnight, in about 2 hours or so, things should start to pop here, especially just south and southwest of St. Louis. This is what that shelf cloud looked like coming into Waterloo today. It looked awfully scary, that's for sure. Bill Jenkins captured this, shared it with us on the 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group. Saw a lot of that, but what we didn't see is a lot of rain around the immediate metro area. Just trace amounts or a few hundredths in St. Louis proper. You had to go south to get into the heavier rain. This is also where you got into more in the way of gusty winds. Upwards of 2 to 3 inches of rain from Rolla, heading back out towards Lake of the Ozarks, and an inch or more down to the southwest. That comes into play here because those areas that have been well watered south and southwest of St. Louis, that's potentially where we're looking at these showers and thunderstorms setting up shop and forming and just continuing to back build and roll over the same locations. So we have this boundary that's kind of stalled out here just to the south of St. Louis. On the flip side of that, very humid air. It's hot down to the south, but it's also, especially here in Arkansas, very humid. We're going to take that really juicy air, swing it up over and above that boundary. That creates that band of scattered showers and thunderstorms. And in that band, you're going to have heavy rain and a night flood threat. There's also potentially large hail out of some of those thunderstorms, but it'll be a very narrow band that sees about 2 to 5 inches of rain. Let's get into it a little more here. So your flood watch, our far southern counties here on the Missouri side of the river. That does include Potosi, Steelville, back to Rolla, also Farmington, St. Genevieve, points south. Here's what's going to happen. Between now and 2 a.m., your scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop somewhere along the Missouri River and then stretching southeast. Now, it could be a little farther north, could be a little farther south. We think it'd be a little farther south as the trends that we're seeing at this point. But look how these thunderstorms just kind of keep moving over the same spots. That means you're looking at the potential for very heavy rainfall over several of the same spots through the course of the overnight hours into very early tomorrow morning. So Rolla perhaps gets 2.5, 3 inches. Meanwhile, metro area, spots north, very little, if anything. The best chance of seeing flash flooding is to the southeast of St. Louis, a 40% chance from the Weather Prediction Center. Right now, we're talking temperatures in St. Louis in the upper 70s, the dew point 69. 84 is actually the high for the day with just a trace of rain. Here's your next 7 days. Storm alert will continue until this action moves out early tomorrow morning. Once it presses south, most of the rest of tomorrow should be quiet. It'll get steamy later in the day. Thursday, a front comes through. We might get a storm with that, and then we should settle down. Mike, we could actually get into this weekend and have a relatively tranquil weekend. What a concept
that would be a
is.
nice change.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, thanks. Well, Corey is in for Frank, and he's got sports next.
Well, the Cardinals have a former third baseman heading to Cooperstown this weekend, and their current one is likely headed there eventually, and he had quite the moment tonight. Stick around, sports is up next.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
The Pirates lost tonight, so with the win against the Marlins, the Cardinals would be out of last place in the NL Central for the first time since May 28th, and Nolan Arenado made sure that dream came true tonight. The Cardinals honored the late Mike Shannon tonight at Busch Stadium. His family was on hand pregame. He would have loved calling this game. Jordan Montgomery was strong once again. 6 innings, 1 earned run, helped out by this Nolan Gorman defense at second. Cards got on the board thanks to the red-hot Brendan Donovan. His 11th homer. I am begging you, do not trade this man. They'd have to tie it again in the 7th. Nolan Gorman's going to chase Dylan Carlson home with this shot to the warning track. They wouldn't get it done in regular frames, though. We go to extra innings until Nolan Arenado is going to step up, and he says, that's enough baseball for tonight. Arenado absolutely destroys this ball. 3-run shot. Cardinals win 5-2. Their 4th in a row, and hallelujah, they pass the Pirates to get out of the NL Central cellar. Well, this weekend, Scott Rowland goes into Cooperstown. So every night at 10, I'm going to count down the 5 best Scott Rowland moments before his Hall of Fame induction. First up, one you may not think of right away. This is the 316th and final home run Rowland ever hit in his career. It was 2012 and he was a Red, but it was in St. Louis against old friend Chris Carpenter. And ironically, it was also the last homer Carpenter ever gave up in his career.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
The MLS All-Star Game is unique. It's the best in Major League Soccer, playing against Arsenal from England's Premier League. Of course, that's the team Stan Kroenke owns. Roman Berkey and Tim Parker will be trying to beat them tomorrow night in D.C. Tonight was the All-Star Skills Challenge, and it was Berkey's time to shine. The City SC keeper captain competed in the cross and volley challenge, and Berkey is so used to clean sheets he had to put up another one. No goals scored on Berkey in his challenge, but Arsenal did win the overall competition. Leading first place City SC, Berkey has been one of the most impressive players in the league, and for the man who brought him to town, things are going exactly according to plan.
For me, without any doubt, the best goalkeeper in the league. I would say maybe the best goalkeeper ever played in the MLS. He could play in Europe without any problems in any top division, and the money we spend on him and the money we will spend on him in future years, I think this is money well spent. A successful team or a team which wins games starts with a great goalkeeper.
It's the question Mizzou football fans have been talking about since last season ended. Who will be under center at quarterback this season? Will the youngster Sam Horn get his shot? Will transfer Jake Garcia step up, or will it be year 2 of Brady Cook? At SEC Media Days, Eli Drinkwitz made it known that he's going with who impresses him most.
Yeah, day one we go to practice, Brady Cook will step out there with the ones. There's very little doubt about that. I think he's had a really good summer coming off an injury, but no different than every position on the field. There's nothing guaranteed. We all understand that we have to be more explosive offensively. We got to throw the ball more effectively down the field. And whoever does that the most effective in fall camp knows that they're going to be the guy.
Well, it was thanks in part to the Arena Football League that we got the Kurt Warner story with the Rams. Now the league is relaunching and putting a team in St. Louis. The AFL announced the first 16 cities of the new league today. Of course, the Arena League was here back in the 90s with the St. Louis Stampede. This new version is set to kick off in April of 2024. Mike, I would not put any deposits down on postseason tickets for the Cardinals, but at least we're seeing some better baseball.
Okay, thanks, Corey, and we'll be right back. A lot of people are coming down with lottery fever. The Mega Millions jackpot up to $640 million. Tonight's winning numbers are 19, 22, 31, 37, 54, and 18. And yet again, no one matched Monday night's Powerball numbers. That means $1 billion is up for grabs. And there's still time to get a ticket. The drawing is tomorrow night if you opt for the lump sum cash payment. It's about $518 million. It's only the 7th time in U.S. history that a jackpot has reached at least $1 billion. And Scott has a final check of the weather.
We're still in storm alert here through the overnight hours, probably until sometime tomorrow morning during the rush hour. You know, you're going to have localized heavy rain south and southwest of St. Louis, narrow bands where we could see 2 to 3, 4 inches of rain. That could cause flash flooding. Also the potential for some hail. It's mostly south and southwest of St. Louis overnight.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. Good night.